Welcome to the second video in this series on bullet journaling with the reMarkable Paper Pro. In this video, I will go over some very simple ways to get started with a year overview, a month overview, a week overview spread, and a day template that you can use to plan out each day. So let's start in this video with a year overview. So I'm just going to start with a blank page on my reMarkable Paper Pro tablet. The first thing I want to do is start out with my writing utensil. I think what I'd like to do is use the calligraphy pen in black, medium width, to write out my title. And so I'm starting with a year overview, or what I like to call the year at a glance spread. This is a really simple template to use. There are many different ways to go about this. This is one of my favorites for its simplicity, but also for how this particular template is really great for giving you little mini months, as I like to call them, that you can copy and paste over into your other templates, like your week-long template or your day template. You can copy one of these mini months that I'm about to create to just keep in a corner of those other templates to keep the perspective of the whole month in mind. So what I've written here is 2026 year overview. As always, with the reMarkable Paper Pro, you can select your text and move it around on the page. So if I want that to be just a bit lower, if I want it to be a little bit larger or wider, I can do that. I can move it to exactly the right spot that I want it to be in. And I'm just going to decorate it a little bit. People who write bullet journals by hand love to personalize it and just make it have some sketches or little decorations. So I'm just going to put some lines and some little diamond shapes onto this. I'm going to change my writing tool, just put a few other designs on here. And then once I have my title set up the way I want it to look, then what I can do is start writing out each of my months. And I actually kind of want my title to look a little different. I kind of want it to scrunch in a little more. See if I can do that. Maybe look more like that. And that's just me being perfectionistic with how I want the title to look on this. So then I can start with each month. So I've got my little marker tool. I've got that set to black ink and medium width. And I'm just going to start writing out my month of January. Then once I have that, I'm going to turn to writing out all the days of the week, starting with S for Sunday. And then once I have that, I can start writing in my my dates. And I'm just going to put a little line there to delineate the days of the week from the dates that I'm going to add there. And I'm going to take a highlighter tool. So I'm going to change my tool here to highlighter. I'm going to choose blue highlighter, and I'm going to highlight January there. Actually, maybe I'll wait. I'll wait on highlighting. I am going to do that, but because I want to copy paste, I'll hold off on that. I'm going to start writing in my dates. So in January, the 1st was a Thursday. So I've got my month of January done. I just want to point out, as always, with the reMarkable Paper Pro, you can enlarge it. Whoops, I lost it, my grip there. You can select it enlarge the entire calendar. You can make it smaller. You can move it around. So if it's not exactly where you want to put it in the year spread, you can move it a bit. So I think I like it right there. I think I'd also like to copy it. So I'll select it again so that I can hit copy and then paste it over to here. And the reason is I'm going to change each month, but I want to see how they all align. And then I can start with each of these months that I've already moved into their place that I like them to be. So I'm just going to move this into the middle there. I think that you can also change the orientation. And so I might just do that just to make the whole calendar look a little straighter. I might do that on all of these before I proceed. It's another neat feature of the reMarkable Paper Pro is that you can very easily, with your pen tool, make these edits. Okay, so I think these are placed the way that I like them to be placed. And so now I'm going to go ahead and just select this again, copy it, and paste it into each spot. And then eventually I will change each of these months into their correct months for each month of the year once I have 12 of them on the page in a layout that I'm happy with. Lost one. Okay, so I think I might want to move some of these just to have a better looking layout. So I'm gonna select these three and just move them up a bit. Select these three, move them up a bit. Select these three and move them up a bit. And then I think I'm pretty happy with that. And so then what I'll do is I'll take my eraser tool and I'll erase the names of the months because obviously I'm going to change them. And then I'll obviously also have to change the dates which within each month, though you'll see that some months have overlap and you can use the copy paste tool to copy and paste the numbers in those cases, and you'll see me doing that. Okay, so now I'm going to choose my fine liner tool again to write out my months for the remaining months. And there are my month names. And so now I can move on to writing out the dates for each of these months. So there we have all of our months laid out for our year overview or year at a glance. One thing I like to do is use the highlighter tool to highlight the months themselves. So here I have the highlighter tool set to blue, and I'm just going to do every other month in blue. And so I'll start with January in blue. Then I'm going to change my highlighter tool color to yellow. And all the months in between the months that I just did, I'm going to highlight in yellow. And as with the pen tool and pencil tools, you can hold the line for it to straighten out with the highlighter tool as well. And so there I have my months now highlighted in yellow and blue to draw those out a bit. Now, one feature that I really like about bullet journaling with the reMarkable Paper Pro is that I can always select and copy one of these mini months, as I like to call them, from my year overview and paste them into any of my other templates that I might be working with. So if I have a day overview or a 1 week overview, I can paste any of these mini months into there to keep in perspective as I'm working on that page the entire month. And so what I'm going to do here is just create a blank page just to show you that I can select a month. Let me just go ahead and select the month of January. I can copy the month of January and paste it over onto another page. And so if I'm creating or working with another template, like a 1-day spread that goes hour by hour, for example, to plan out my day, I can have on there this little mini month of the entire month in perspective, and it's just really easy. I grab it from my 1 year overview and put it there. So I really like that feature. Now that said, we do want to have a 1 month spread. So what I can do is that January month that I just put over there, and I put it in kind of a bad spot to grab it. So I'm just going to place it over here. I can make that January month larger. So to turn from my 1 year spread to my 1 month spread, I can enlarge that without having to start over and then start to edit this. So I want to emphasize that I have a lot of templates that I love to work with for 1 month spreads. And in upcoming videos, I'll show you how to use tracing paper and stencils to create the ideal month spreads for your uses. But this is a really quick and dirty way of getting a month spread. I just copied that over from my year spread that we just went over and pasted it onto a new page, made it larger. And so I can just kind of move it up there like this. And just as a quick and dirty way of creating a month spread, start to work on editing my enlarged January month from my year spread. And so what I can start to do is just start moving these numbers to have them take up the page so I have some room to work with here. And I can just tidy it up, make it cleaner if I want to with some of these tools that I've already gone over. But maybe I choose to just start here with January as my month spread. And what I can do is I can create lines to make it more of a calendar look to it. So I can start doing that here. Let's see. Okay, so here we have our month spread. Again, quick and dirty way of creating the month spread. There are more sophisticated templates that you could use that I'll show in a future video. But for right now, what I want to do is turn to how you can set up a week spread. And so I will be turning to that here next. So a very simple week spread is what I'm going to illustrate here next, and how how to create this in the reMarkable Paper Pro. So I'm going to start with my marker. I think I'm going to continue with this fine liner under medium with black color. And I'm just going to write out January, week 1. And as always, I'm not satisfied with where it ended up, so I kind of want to select the whole thing and move it. So I'm going to move it to a better spot, like maybe right there. Rotate it slightly. And then maybe add just a little bit of distinction for how this heading will be distinguished from the rest of this template. So maybe something like that. And maybe I'll add some colors. I think I have it set on the yellow highlighter. I can just put some yellow highlighter in there. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is just create a series of rectangles. I think I'll switch back to, I like the calligraphy tool and the kind of lines that gives me, and I'm going to have that be black, medium width, and I'm just going to draw out a rectangle. I'm just going to put it in the middle of the page for now because I'll then move it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate it with a little line here in the top portion where I'll then write out the day Sunday. And the first Sunday in January is the 4th. And then I'll move this over to the left-hand side of the page and maybe up a little bit to make sure I can fit everything in here that I want to be able to fit in here. And I'm going to copy it. I'm going to paste this whole thing over here, and then over here, over here. I have it try to have this one mirror the first one. Then I kind of want to have the placement of these be a little bit more centered. And there, I guess I'm happy with that look for right now. And then what I'm going to do is copy and paste them below so they look something like this. I'm going to do this for all 7 days of the week. So of course I'm going to then go in and change the handwriting in each of them to be the correct day and the correct date for that week. Then of course what I'm going to do is write out each day of the week and their dates. And I'm going to use that fine liner pen tool. Then, as I mentioned when going over the year at a glance page, one of the things that we can do is select one of these mini months from the year at a glance, copy it, and then paste it over on our week spread. So I can paste the mini month, January, down here, and I can move it to wherever I really want it to be on this page. I'm going to set it down there. And that way I've got the whole month there for my week planning, just to keep these dates in perspective if I want to have that perspective. Obviously, there's lots of other ways you could go about this, but this is one template that I quite like for my weekly spread. Another thing I like to have is this space here for a to-do list that's a week perspective to-do list. And so I'm going to go ahead and use my calligraphy pen tool here to write out to-do for my to-do list. And then I'm going to draw out a to-do list. And so I'm going to go back to the fine liner to draw a circle. And as with lines in the reMarkable Paper Pro, if you draw a circle and just hold it, it will make that circle more perfect. So I can draw a circle here, hold it, and it makes that circle more perfect. And then of course I can select that circle to resize it as I see fit and to move it. And so I'm going to move that circle over to here to sort of the side. I'm going to shrink it a bit because I really just want it to look like a bit of a bullet. And then I'm going to draw a line below it. I'm going to let that line straighten. And then what I want to do is copy paste it. So there I have my to-do list for the week where I can lay out at the start of a week what are the big things that have to get done during this week. And notice, so I've got my mini calendar for the full month down here. I've got my to-do list for this week. I've got each specific day, and what I can do is write in bullet to-do lists or put in here however I'd like to lay it out. What are my plans for this week across these different days for each specific day for the whole week at a glance? And I even have some space here that if I'd like, I could put a quote, a motivational quote. I could put an image if I want to put an image. And so one quote that I really quite like is running water does not go stale. And so maybe I write that here for this week's motivational quote. And I can draw on that. I can decorate it. I can put boundaries around it if I want to. I can do a little bit of artwork if that's what I feel like doing. So maybe I just draw it in the form of, say, a bit of an arrow here. And that is a great template. And what's neat about doing templates like this, whether it's the year at a glance, the week at a glance, the month at a glance, or the day at a glance, which we'll get to next, what's great about doing these in the reMarkable Paper Pro is that you can copy and paste the whole entire template. So I keep a collection of templates of various sorts that I like, and if I want to reuse them, that way I can. So if I create a new page here that's just blank, one of the things that I can do is just select this entire template, including that little month at a glance at the bottom and my to-do list, the entire thing. I can select the whole thing. I can copy it. And then I can paste the whole thing over to another page. And so I can use it for a future week. And then all I have to change in a future week are the specific dates. I can change these dates. Oops. I can change these. Accidentally pasted something there. You can change these dates to another week's dates and start over by keeping the blank in a collection. I can even change my motivational quote or change what I want to put into this spot. And so when you make a template using the reMarkable Paper Pro, you can always reuse that template, which is a really neat feature of the reMarkable Paper Pro. So in my next video, I'll focus on the day overview, hour by hour, and a really great simple template for that. So stay tuned.